You are not walking alone on this road. Already in step beside you is the one who is himself the strength you have been trying to manufacture, not the kind you keep trying to summon inside the bathroom mirror before leaving the house, not the kind a louder voice keeps telling you a real believer would already have, not the kind measured in the postures of sturdier-looking people across any room, a different kind, a given one, poured into the side of a child whose feet are still moving, even when the legs have forgotten how to feel. Stay near as these next few minutes unfold. By the time these few minutes end, I'm going to take out from the inner pocket of my coat one short line I once had Isaiah write to a people in the middle of an exile they could not see the end of. A line shaped to hush, in this very hour, the quiet conviction you have been carrying that you must somehow generate your own fortitude before the road will let you keep going. The strength is not what I give you. The strength is who walks with you. I see you. The road has not been gentle in this season, and the body inside the shoes has been doing far more carrying than anyone around you has noticed. A mother has been getting through the day on coffee and willpower, and the willpower has been thinning lately. A father has been holding a worry about the next paycheck against the inside of his chest, like a coin he is afraid to set down. A young woman has been making it through the workday by pretending the heaviness in her shoulders is a posture and not a grief. A grown son lays awake in the dark, cataloging the responsibilities waiting for him at sunrise, and feels something inside him. Wonder whether the legs will keep moving for one more season. There is one of you reading these words right now who has not been able to name the tiredness out loud because the people around you assume you are the strong one, and the assumption itself has become another weight on the same shoulders. None of those quiet exhaustions is hidden from me. Every one of them is held in a strength larger than the load. The friend who used to ask, "How are you really doing?" stopped asking. Not out of unkindness, but because the answer always sounded like the same answer. Morning conversation with me has gone quieter, not because the love has cooled, but because the asking for strength began to feel like rubbing a sore spot. A few of you have been afraid to admit that you are running on borrowed fuel, because admitting it might mean some structure in the life would have to come undone. Every shortened prayer reached my ear. Every breath you took, instead of speaking the word "tired" out loud, was numbered. None of that hiding has cost you anything in my eyes. The hiding was the bandage of a person who has carried more than the people around them have known how to receive. A tenderness rises in me about the weariness in you that no one has yet been able to acknowledge. Not impatience, not the slightest disappointment. The very fact that you are still upright, still showing up, still loving inside a body that has been running thin. That uprightness is itself a worship I have been receiving every morning of this season. Many believers louder than you have stopped showing up entirely. You have not. Such staying is a prayer in itself. Such staying is proof of an interior fortitude that has not been originating in your own reserves for a long time already. Press the back of one hand into the palm of the other, just for a slow breath. Light pressure. The fingers of one hand curling softly over the knuckles of the other, the way two travelers steady each other crossing a slick stretch of road. Sense the warmth where the two hands meet. That small contact is older than language. It is the gesture two human beings have made for one another at hard mile markers since the very first hard mile marker. The hand under your hand right now is not only your other hand. It is the gesture I am making against the place in you that has been carrying without acknowledgement for so long. Let the hands stay together for one more breath. Sense how neither one is doing all the work. That is what walking with me has been the entire stretch. Neither one of us bearing the full load alone, even when your senses kept reporting that you were. This exhausted self-reliance did not arrive in you by accident. It was trained into you. Across years no calendar logged, small lessons stitched the same conclusion into your interior. Fortitude is a quantity you must produce, and producing it is your problem to solve. A parent once praised you very young for being such a big helper at an age when you should still have been the one being helped. A teacher rewarded the classmates who never asked questions, and your soul concluded that needing assistance was a kind of failing. A workplace later treated stamina as a virtue, where colleagues who admitted tiredness got quietly passed over for those who absorbed every load without complaint. A difficult family relationship taught you that whoever asked for help first lost some invisible competition you did not even know was being scored. Houses of worship rewarded the believers who looked like they never needed anything, and you began suspecting that maturity and faith meant arriving at a level where you no longer required carrying. None of those teachers were speaking for me. A few of them loved you and were forwarding the only definition of strength they had ever been given. Others borrowed the word strong to keep extracting from you what they had no right to ask for in the first place. Whatever the source, the same falsified picture of strength got planted in you, and the picture has been costing you years of trying to manufacture alone the very thing I built into you so you would never have to manufacture again. Somewhere across your formation, you were taught to think of strength as a private reservoir each believer fills on his own time. You were taught that the strong ones are the ones with deeper wells. You were taught that a faithful believer wakes up already fortified, that the morning posture of a real son of mine should be the brisk confidence of someone who has slept long enough to refill his own tank. You were taught that needing fresh strength every day was a sign of immaturity, that running out by Wednesday was an indictment, that the right kind of believer should be able to ride one Sunday of worship through the next 7 days under his own steam. That is not how strength works in the country where I am the Father. That has never been how strength works. An image of carrying capacity lodged in the front of your chest, solitary, self-sourced, refillable by discipline alone, was etched by chisels that have never belonged to my workshop. Some chisels were wielded by sincere teachers who had never themselves walked in exile long enough to learn what their own reservoir actually contained. Others were wielded on purpose because a believer who thinks fortitude is private is a believer easier to shame when he falls short. Whichever the source, the same falsified engraving got pressed onto you, and that engraving has been disqualifying you from the very companion who has been walking alongside you the whole stretch. Slide the engraving aside. Stand it against the wall for a while. Hear instead what carrying capacity actually looks like inside the country where I am the father of children built to walk with him, not without him. My strength is not deposited into a private well. My strength is a person walking next to you on a road. A well sits in one fixed place. You have to go to it. You have to lower the bucket. You have to draw up only as much as that bucket can hold. Wells run dry. Wells freeze. Wells belong to one location and stay there when the road carries you elsewhere. None of that describes the way I have arranged your fortitude. A companion is not a well. A companion moves at your pace. A companion is beside you in the kitchen at 3 in the morning, and beside you on the freeway at noon, and beside you in the hospital corridor at the worst hour. A companion's strength is not measured by how much the companion can give. A companion's strength is measured by the fact of the companion being there. And the one keeping pace at your shoulder along this road has never once stepped off it. Your own resources have been measured by you with the wrong instrument. A fuel gauge has been pointed at a friendship. A fuel gauge measures whether a tank can run a vehicle for another stretch of miles. Friendships are not tanks. A friendship is steady presence of one person beside another, and presence does not get less real because some gauge reads low. Your body may keep telling you its tank is nearly empty. That gauge is not lying about the tank. It is simply measuring the wrong room. Where the carrying actually happens is the room where the companion walks, and such a room is not subject to any gauge. Place 1 foot flat against the floor beneath your chair. Press it down a 1/4 inch, only that much. Feel the steadiness that pushes upward into the arch. Ground underneath you is not asking you to prove you deserve to be held. It is simply holding. Notice how the pressed down foot feels steadier than the rest of you. That is not because that foot is stronger. It is because that foot has stopped trying to hold itself up and has finally consented to be held by what was always there. Walking with me has the same shape. The foot moves, the road holds. The companion walks alongside. Strength turns out to have been a collaboration the whole stretch, and you were only allowed to feel weak so that you would finally discover the collaboration. A particular line is waiting for you, and I want to lift it out now. Take it the way its original hearers took it, not as a polished verse on a Sunday screen, but as the wax-sealed message carried on foot into a refugee camp, read aloud over a circle of tired people who had every visible reason to think their reserves were finished. I had a prophet named Isaiah carry this one to a defeated nation early in their exile, an audience whose walls lay broken and whose children had been led off in chains. An immediate promise of victory was not what they required. What they required was a hand firm under the elbow while they kept walking. Listen to what I spoke through him. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Move through it unhurriedly alongside me. More lives in this short line than any first pass will catch. Fear not. Notice the opening two words. I did not begin with be stronger. I did not begin with try harder. I did not begin with produce more endurance and then we will talk. I began with fear not. The first thing a father says to a tired child is not a demand for more output. The first thing a father says is a hand on the shoulder. Fear not. That phrase is not a command to manufacture courage. That phrase is the announcement that the reason for the fear has already been addressed. Fear is the body's response to walking a road alone. Fear not, because the loneliness was a misreading. You have never been on this road by yourself, for I am with you. Listen to the reason, not for you have grown enough, not for you have prayed long enough, not for your last week of obedience earned this benefit, for I am with you. The reason your fear can come down is not located inside your performance. The reason is located inside my proximity. With you, right now, in the room where you are reading, on the road you have been walking, in the kitchen where the bills are, in the hospital corridor, in the bedroom where the silence has been the loudest, with you. Not behind you watching, not ahead of you waiting, with you at your shoulder on the same patch of ground your foot is standing on. Be not dismayed. Hear the gentleness of that second clause. The verb is releasing, not scolding. A father is not embarrassed that the road has been hard enough to dismay you. A father is simply letting you know that the dismay does not have to keep its grip, because the reason for the dismay has been answered. Whatever has been threatening to dismantle the upright posture in you has already been seen by the one walking beside you, and the one walking beside you has not been dismayed himself for a single second. For I am your God. Hold those 4 words a beat. Not a God, not an aloof one, not an absent one. Your God, the one whose name is on the front of your story, the one who knew the shape of your shoulders before your shoulders were given to you, the one whose voice you have known since the inside of your mother's body. That kind of God is not an outside party reviewing your case. That kind of God is the one whose own honor is bound up in your arrival at the end of this road. He cannot afford to let you collapse, because his name is on the destination as much as it is on the starting line. I will strengthen you. Weigh that verb. Will, not might, not could, not perhaps under sufficiently favorable inner conditions. Will. The strengthening is a verb that belongs to me, not a result that must be produced by you. The verb is active, and it is mine. You do not have to strengthen yourself in order to receive the strengthening. The receiving is the whole task. A child does not strengthen himself before a father feeds him. A father feeds, the child eats. The strength shows up afterward, not because the child performed strength first, but because the food was administered by the father. I will help you. Hear how plain that is. No theology, no ornament, just the bare promise of one person to another. I will help you. Help is the smallest, most universal kindness a parent offers a child. Help is what a father says when his son cannot lift the box alone. Help is what a father says when his daughter cannot reach the high shelf. Help is the verb of a person who refuses to let his child stand alone in front of a task that is too big. The promise in this sentence is not the promise of removal of the task. The promise is the promise of company at the task. I am not taking the road away from you. I am walking it with you. The walking with is the help. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Read those words slowly. Uphold, a verb of carrying weight, with my righteous right hand, the strongest hand a father has, not the backhand, not the absent hand, not the hand reserved for some other son who has been better behaved. My righteous right hand, a hand that holds creation in place, one that opened the sea, one that shaped your face inside the dark of your mother. Such a hand is currently under your elbow, not metaphorically, operationally, right now, carrying the part of you that you have been afraid to admit you could not carry alone. Such a promise was given to people who had no visible cause to believe it, and it was enough to keep their feet moving through years of staying upright in a country that was not theirs. A hand firm under the elbow is enough to keep yours moving too. An end to your own exile is on the schedule of the one holding that elbow, and he is not lost on the road. An older voice of mine, a singer in Israel, once promised that whoever waits on me will have his fortitude renewed. Let that older promise tuck in alongside what Isaiah has just put into your hand. Renewing of strength was never a thing you were going to produce by sleeping longer or eating better or finally taking the right vitamin. The renewing arrives the way every gift from a father arrives, through being near the one who has it to give. Stay near. The strength will keep arriving. Return for a breath now to the line I said at the opening of these words. I told you, the strength was not what I give you. The strength is who walks with you. Here is why. Because the kind of road you are walking does not get crossed by quantities of fortitude. It gets crossed by the presence of the one who knows the road. A courier crossing a strange country alone needs a great supply of provisions. A child crossing the same country with his father needs only the father. The provisioning becomes the father's problem when the father is the one walking. I have never asked you to be the supply train of your own road. I have asked you to be the child of the one walking it with you. A small habit can be tucked into the rhythm of an ordinary day. Whenever your interior begins announcing that the strength is finished, and the announcement will come because exhaustion is part of the road, pause where you are sitting and ask yourself one quiet question. Not, how do I get more strength? That question hands the burden back to you. The question is, who is walking with me right now? That is the whole practice. Only the question. The question does the work, because the question redirects the mind from the empty fuel gauge in your chest to the companion already beside your shoulder. When bandwidth permits a second beat, add it. Once the question lands, resist the urge to rush onward. Linger one breath longer than instinct allows. Many will sprint right past the relief of remembering a companion, because relief is foreign country to a body that has been carrying solo. Stay in that foreign country. Let the shoulders register that a companion is in step beside you. Let the elbow register that a hand is already there. The body needs to be taught the presence as much as the mind does. A third beat, gentler still. Whenever you notice a small steadying inside an ordinary week, an unexpected hour when the load felt lighter, a moment of unaccountable peace dropping into a tense afternoon, an abrupt ability to do one task you had been dreading, refuse to file the moment as coincidence. Murmur softly, with whatever voice your surroundings permit, "He is in step." Such a short phrase is an entire posture. Your eye is taught by it to spot proof that the carrying has not been solo. Even across hours, your interior insisted otherwise. If any of what I have said is reaching a tired side of you, place the word "walk" down below as a comment, not as a tag, but as one small stone laid on the shoulder of a road you are not crossing on your own. Up above this video, inside the pinned slot, 7 short letters wait already prepared. One per daybreak of the coming week, slip to your inbox as soon as a soft yes opens the gate. Take them. Attempt 1 will probably still produce a flinch at the answer. That flinch is muscle memory of years spent carrying alone. Pass 7. The flinch may still be present. By the 30th pass, register a quieter shift. Loneliness behind your exhaustion will have loosened by degrees. By pass 50, catch yourself going whole stretches of hours without trying to manufacture your own fortitude before getting out of the chair. By pass 100, glance back over a recent fortnight and grasp that you stopped reaching for the empty fuel gauge some weeks back, and the road kept getting crossed anyway, because the one crossing it beside you never stopped. A direct word for the one of you whose body has been refusing to keep up with the demands of the season. A body is not a moral failing. A body is a vessel running through real terrain. The strength your body is asking for is not the strength of pretending the body is fine. It is the willingness to lean a little more of your weight onto an elbow already being held. Lean. A hand has not been there for decoration. It has been there to be leaned on. For whoever is reading from inside a battle that has gone on longer than the people around you imagined any battle could go, listen. Long battles are not evidence that the companion has left. Long battles are evidence that the road through that particular country is a long road, and the companion is committed to walking the full length of it. Arriving on the other side is not the proof you keep looking for. Continuing to walk in the meantime is the actual proof, and that continuing has not been your unaided doing. It has been a collaboration the entire stretch. For the one who has been carrying a quiet shame about how often you have needed to ask for fresh fortitude, please hear me. Asking is not weakness. Asking is the address of what you are asking for. A child who has learned where the food is kept is not a weaker child. A child who has learned where the food is kept is a wiser child. Such asking is wisdom. Keep asking. The supply does not run out. It walks beside you. For whoever has been comparing your remaining stamina with the visible stamina of a sibling, a coworker, a friend on social media, hear this carefully. Stamina is not measured in public. Strongest people I have ever known were people whose interior carrying was completely invisible to the rooms they moved through. Their reservoirs were not larger. Their companion was simply nearer. Step away from the comparison. A companion next to you is the same companion next to them. Neither one of you walks alone. Listen. Parent who has been getting through years of raising a child with extra needs, and your fortitude has felt like a flame down to its last quarter-inch of wick. Hear this also. A wick does not have to be long for the flame to keep burning. A flame depends on the breath of the one sitting beside the lantern. Your wick is not the variable in this equation. The breath of a companion is the variable, and that breath is steady. Keep walking with the lantern that you have. The flame is in better hands than yours. To the one who has been afraid that the one walking with you might finally grow tired of how much caring you require, listen. Father strength does not deplete. A well I draw from to hold up the part of you that has been failing is a well no human bucket has ever been able to lower deep enough to bottom out. Your need does not exhaust me. Your need is the very reason that well was filled in the first place. Drink from it as often as the day requires. A supply like mine does not even register the drawing. And whoever among you is currently in a kinder stretch, where the road is smoother and your fortitude feels more available, hear one final word. Smoothness carries its own subtle danger. A risk inside any smoother stretch is the quiet drift toward believing your carrying capacity is finally your own. Keep walking by the same companion across the smoother seasons. A child who learns to walk by the Father's hand in the easy years is the same child who knows where the hand is in the hard years. Practice the leaning even when the leaning seems unnecessary. The hand likes to be reached for. The reaching is the relationship. Sow one quiet sentence into the lining of the ordinary week ahead of you. Murmur it at a red light when the body is suddenly too tired for the next errand. Press it into the soft place above your collarbone when an alarm clock asks for one more morning of getting up. Speak it into the dark when sleep refuses to come and the worry list begins to recite itself. Both halves of it remain true whether or not your senses confirm them in this very hour. A companion does not need your confirmation to keep moving. He has been beside you the whole stretch, and he has every intention of crossing what remains. When you notice the carrying lighten in a small wave, and you will because renewal arrives on its own clock and the clock has never been late by my measure, try not to be startled by how quietly it shows up. Most renewals do not announce themselves with a trumpet. Legs simply begin moving again. Dread on the next task lifts by a fraction. The mind quiets around a worry that has been spinning for days. Honor that small return. Stop where you happen to be and breathe one slow exhale. Murmur a small thank you under your breath. A companion hears. He has been awaiting that small murmur across every mile of this road already. Amen. If today's words landed somewhere tired in you, 7 short letters are sitting ready inside the pinned spot just below. One for each daybreak of the week ahead, arriving in your inbox the moment a soft yes opens the gate. Take them. Forward this video on to someone whose legs have been running on fumes lately. Hit subscribe so the next word arrives in your feed before the next stretch of road does. No traveler was ever meant to cross this kind of country unaccompanied.